Hi, everybody. Dan Ullman, Mike Beer, the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Thursday, June the 15th. Race number 7 at Belmont Park. We're going 1 mile on the Widener turf. New York bred optional claimer. Let's take a look at this field. Head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com. Download free, I said free, Formulator past performances and handicap along with us. We'll take in post position order and begin with a big long shot. Number 1, Sugar Mag, second time for Bobby Barbara. This horse has to improve.
Yeah, she's run a couple of races that would at least give her a chance for a piece in this race. The real problem with her is her running style. I mean, she's just a big, deep closer, and she needs plenty of pace to run at.
One of the main players in this race is the number 2, Bonita Springs, who kept some pretty good company earlier this year at Gulfstream Park and against Dream Dancing and Proctor's Ledge. She promptly returned to New York bred competition 2 starts back with a really nice trip and ride by Angel Arroyo to get up. And last time out, well, she just sort of ran around there a second over trip that didn't pan out. She was in against a real salty veteran in Selenite.
Yeah, I think that was the real problem with her last race. The trip was fine, but Selenite just too good for her, and she couldn't get near that horse. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you just start picking apart her 6 turf races, outside of the yielding turf race at Aqueduct last November, where she was just sort of even, I mean, her form is fine, and she's faced some better horses. I liked her win just fine 2 starts back, but she got such a perfect trip in that race that it sort of makes me not want to go back to her, but she fits very well in this field.
She finished ahead of 3 of these common foes in that Selenite race. Broken Border is an interesting contender for trainer Jason Service. Began her career 1 for 11. Service is just a czar when it comes to turf sprints. He cut Broken Border back. She won by the length of the track, and unfortunately for the connections, she then disappeared for a year. But it's really a credit to Service and the connections. This horse got bet off the layoff, and she ran once again.
Yeah, she did. She ran really well, considering how long she was away and that she was back up in class again. Actually, she ran very well in that race. Just sort of strong handling from Manny Franco at the end to get it done. I liked that performance off the layoff. You know, she won that race at last year at this time. That was a huge drop in class, and it showed. She just crushed that field, but she had always had a little bit of potential. She just couldn't find the winner's circle.
Is it a situation where she loves the 7? She's only stretching out a furlong. It's basically an elongated sprint here at Belmont. But do you think she's more of a sprinter at heart?
You know what? That's a valid point. I didn't really want to make that distinction with her because to me, she had run pretty well around 2 turns more than once without winning before that. But you're right. Maybe she just prefers those shorter distances around 1 turn.
Let's take a look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector for our Formulator Race of the Day. And they get the 4 Conquest Heart Candy, the 2-to-1 morning line favorite out there on the lead. I think she might take a little bit more heat than what this pace projector is showing. But Conquest Heart Candy, a 3-year-old tackling elders for the first time, she's run some nice races.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's not, yeah, you're right. It's not like that there's no other pace in the race, but we'll see if anybody sort of goes up there with her early, obviously. I mean, nobody needs us to tell them that this is a huge class drop for this filly who's, been keeping stakes company down at Gulfstream all winter long and actually running really well in those races, back in with New York breds here with the pace and with the leading rider. I mean, there's plenty to like about this film.
She beat 3 next out winners 2 starts back when going gate to wire on the Sanibel Island. Just a little bit perhaps overmatched as the favorite last time out against Adorable Miss, who returned to run 3rd in the Penn Oaks with an 87 buyer for Todd Pletcher. Flatter Me Fabulous, I think, could be closer to the pace than where the Timeform U.S. pace projector has, because in the last 2 races, 1 3/8, 1 1/4, didn't break very well. And also I think they made a really concerted attempt to conserve her speed for the end. My issue is that her career best buyer speed figure 3 starts back is when she rated off just this ridiculous pace duel up front, and she just had to hit the board.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and you're right too that she has more speed than that. They used to use it, and for some reason they haven't been using it lately. It worked to their advantage. They didn't use it in that Gulfstream race, and she picked up some pieces. I don't know why she's been so far away in those last 2 races going longer. Unless it's just what you said. They were concerned about her going that long, and they didn't want to use her pace. But to me, they just gave away whatever advantage she had. I'd like to see them go back to using her speed in this race, but even if she does that, do you think she's good enough to beat this field? I really didn't think she was.
I don't think she's good enough to beat this field, but maybe getting back in with New York breds will help her out a little bit. Barrel of Dreams, the number 6, as we see from our pace projector, sitting in 2nd. I can certainly see her being close to the pace, especially since she figures fresh. We have not seen her since November. My issue is that she ran so well at Saratoga last year that I think Charlie Baker's just trying to get in a race into her before he ships her up for the spot.
That could be very true, but only what are we, 5 weeks away from Saratoga now, so it's coming up. Maybe he's just prepping her here. Worth pointing out, though, that Charlie brought her back off of a similar layoff last year, and she won over this turf course. It was against 2 life claimers, but she did win off the layoff last year.
The 7 Bariqua has now won 4 of her last 5 races over various surfaces. She won on dirt last time out. 2 starts back at Aqueduct. There was not a lot of pace up front, and she was rallying from last. But I think all things considering, she was able to save some ground, but she was really digging at the end of that race.
She really finished in that race, you're right. And I think this is a tougher spot for her. Obviously, it is a tougher spot for her, but she's in really good form against some lesser horses. I mean, I think it's going to be tougher for her here, and she is going to need pace to run at, but I just don't want to dismiss her in the form that she's in.
Free and Clear, the number 8, is at 20-1 in the morning line, and I think she's a sneaky horse. Maybe not in this spot, but at Saratoga down the road, because if you can pick apart her running lines. She won that New York Stallion Series at Saratoga, then something must have happened. You know what happened? She was 52-1 against My Impression in the Winter Memories. Draw a line through that race. Draw a line through the dirt race, and draw a line through her 2 starts. Take These Chains was the bee's knees first time back, and last time out, 4-star Crooks won something like her last 8 races. I think Free and Clear is going to run a lot better here, and I think she might put one over at Saratoga.
I agree with all that stuff. She's clearly a better turf horse, and she ran some races last year that would make her competitive in here.
She's been bad.
Why is she in for the 40? I mean, I get your excuses for it, too. I mean, it's not, I mean, I'm sure her connections must realize that she's just been in way over her head in her last 3 turf races. In for the 40 here.
That's a bit concerning because she's a stakes winner and she's made as a broodmare prospect. The number 9 is Rockin' Alley. Rockin' Alley, the big question mark going into her last race was she classy enough to handle the non-winners of 2X? I think she answered the question, but not in the way her connections wanted.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. And listen, she'll be forward in this race, and I suppose we could give her a chance, but she's going to be forward racing. A horse is going to be a pretty heavy favorite.
Khaleesi Cat came from way out of it to win 2 starts back at Aqueduct, and maybe that's where she does her best running.
Yeah, that's true. I'm a fan of hers.
Oh, me too.
But to me, she hasn't run a race yet that would really beat this field, and she's just going to need some pace. She's a 1-run, sit back and make 1-run closer, so she needs somebody to go after the favorite early in this race.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day. We hate to do it to you, but we think that the 4 Conquest Hard Candy at a short price with this drop in class is just going to be able to control this thing up front against New York breds. I went 4, 2, 9, and 7, but how do you play this race? 2-1 on the morning line. You want to play her to win at that price.
Yeah, I'm not going to be betting her to win, but I would probably lean on her in multi-race wagers. Horses that I would, try and throw in with her in like exactas and things like that. I would definitely use the 7 Bariqua. Right. I know she's stepping up here. Maybe it's going to be too tough for her. She kicks, and she's in very good form right now.
If you're playing the Belmont Thursday card from home, including your Formulator Race of the Day, DRF Bets invites new subscribers to sign up, be VIPs for a week by accessing a $300 bonus and lots more. And all you got to do is head on over to drfbets.com/VIP. Approximate post time for race number 7 at beautiful Belmont Park on Thursday, 4:41 Eastern. Good luck.